Hi, and welcome to another episode of On the Couch with Jill. This episode is very special. It is, I don't even know how to introduce this person. You know, we all need a person behind our brand. And today I get to interview the person behind my brand, the one and only Clayton Morar.
Hi, Jill.
Hi, Clayton. Yeah, this is a nervous one.
Don't be nervous. As we said before the podcast, just, go with the flow. I'm ready for you.
Yeah, Clayton, I'm so happy to have you on this couch, Our journey started about a year and a bit ago, but the time wasn't right. And I feel our time aligned perfectly now.
Yes.
I firstly want to say thank you for this month that I've been working with you. Thank you, not only for what you have done for me, but that unofficial therapy that you give me.
It comes with the calling, I would say, and I think that's important. So it's also been a pleasure working with you, and I agree with you. Timing is important, and it's great to be aligned with the right person that will help amplify your brand, and also to work with people like yourself who have the calling and wanting to understand your vision. So that's been a blessing.
Thank you. But Clayton Morar Media, when the moment I mention that name in spaces I walk in, they're like, is he representing you? I'm like, yeah. So who is Clayton Morar? Who is this man that when you walk into the space and people say, wow, is he representing you?
Okay. Well, so first of all, I'm from Port Elizabeth. Okay. That's where I come from. But who I am is that I'm a passionate person who loves connecting people. I'm a child of God. I put everything in terms of my energy into what I do and what I love. So other than just being of service to everybody else, I enjoy living the fullest of my potential. So that's who I am as a person. So to go to where I'm from, I'm originally born in Port Elizabeth, as we now say Gqeberha. Or I just say GQ for abbreviation purposes. Yeah. Born and raised with two other siblings. I'm the youngest of three. And I was born, raised, and matriculated in Port Elizabeth, and then moved to Cape Town in 2006 after graduating from I obtained my national diploma in journalism at then Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University, which now operates as NMU. So they dropped the one M. Yeah.
Okay. And then what made you decide to move to the mother city?
From
the windy city, isn't that
from the windy city to the mother city? Yes. Pure for the love of entertainment. So I studied journalism, and I've always wanted to be an entertainment journalist. So that started from the get-go. My love for entertainment started out in my family. My aunt was one of the first non-white ballet teachers in Port Elizabeth. She was the first one to own her own ballet school. And they were talking about like the 70s and the 60s over here. So as a result, in the 80s, she immigrated to Australia and had this huge performance in the PE Opera House. So entertainment has been in the sort of realm of our family and the exposure to arts and culture. And I think that just filtered down to pretty much our love for music, movies. And growing up, I just wanted to be, watching Hollywood movies and stuff. So as a result of that, I always knew I wanted to be somehow a connector in the entertainment space, but using journalism as a platform. I couldn't identify it at the time at 13 years old, but I knew that's where I wanted to be. Yeah.
So I'm thinking like those red carpet movies or the red carpet events that you see, the awards, you're standing there and you're saying, oh, I like this and,
Yes.
Okay, I got you. But now what, as a child, molded you to come into the space, to be a communicator, the great communicator that you are? What encouraged you? What shaped you to be that person?
Well, PE was always known for getting the sort of last stop of acts of concerts and things. It wasn't always one of the premier destinations. So because we were very much limited to that access, when we did get, it still is like a big thing where people would go all out and fully support a comedian, a singer, an artist, anybody that brought some sense of arts and culture to the city, whether they were born in the city or whether they were an international artist. So we would always go to concerts. So that exposure to arts and cultures would really help me open my mind to the bright lights of entertainment.
Spotlight.
And as a result, I was like, okay, I don't know what that is, but it's nice to feel that warmth where you get onto a stage where you're celebrated for your talent. And the passion I saw in, the musicians or the sports stars. Because I remember even growing up now, I remember just thinking about going to watch then Eastern Province play cricket, where the cricketers were
Okay.
looking at your Kepler Wessels, your Dave Callaghan's, your Dave Richardsons, all, South African
African.
cricket stars. They were part of the Eastern Province team. And I remember as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old going with my family, and we would go watch cricket games throughout the season. And that's kind of one of the earliest memories of that sort of association with the bright lights.
Yeah, and it's also, when you watch a game, any sports game that's happening in PE, it's always a loud
Yes.
noise. It's
Yeah.
big. It's the vibe is there.
Yes, very much so.
Okay. So going back to like your early PR career, what when you were a journalist, I would assume at
Yes,
some point.
yes.
And then what moved you into the space of becoming a publicist?
So a journalist was something that I always just thought I would be my entire life. I never ever thought I would move into the world of public relations. Not for any other reason. It's just that was the vision I thought I held for myself at the time. So studying journalism, obtaining my national diploma in 2005. I moved to Cape Town in 2006, and then pretty much started out my career in 2004 as soon as I was in my second year. I started, freelancing for local newspapers like the Herald, Gqeberha. There was radio stations. I also worked out in Port Elizabeth. So because of that, while studying, that became my sort of go-to approach to get my foot in the industry. By 2012, which is about 8 years after I officially started, that was when I saw, okay, cool, I needed a bit of a change. It was also we were on the cusp of blogging and Twitter and social media just started to pop off. And I was like, I wanted a little bit more than just working for one publication. So I worked at TV Plus magazine. I started out as the junior writer there, which they headhunted me for that. I also became the magazine's first ever intern in the history of the magazine. So something which
So you started breaking barriers at a young career point in your life.
very much so, because it taught me to go for what I wanted and to also, instead of getting a no, how to propose opportunities and solutions to people to create a yes. Because there weren't internships available at the time. I proposed an internship and how it could benefit them. So by 2012, fast forward, I left as the assistant news editor. And then I figured, okay, what do I want to do next? So then freelancing came about for me, where I, did red carpet reporting for places like
That's
Expresso, Smile FM, Heart FM. I worked at Channel 24 as a freelance writer, and a number of different publications across the country where I established my journalism footprint. But through that, PR found me. And as a result, the friends or celebrities I would interact with as a journalist, they were looking for opportunities to get profiled across different platforms. And they were saying to me, you're a journalist who is connected. Can you get me in this publication? So from that perspective, I realized maybe PR is something that's been calling me for a while, but I've been ignoring it because by the time 5 people are asking the same thing, and you need to start listening to yourself and to also what the universe is saying to you. Yeah.
That is wow. I didn't know you worked for all these amazing things. I didn't do my research. For the people out there, this is a very nerve-wracking one for me, because interviewing the person that tells me what I need to ask or puts my stuff together is very difficult, because I need to know my P's and Q's here, because this is hard. So you went from red carpet to the behind the scenes.
Yes.
Because that's what PR is all about.
Yes.
How did that transition? Was it something that you wanted, or was it something you tired of the spotlight, or was it just you elevating us ultimately?
Well, I don't think one gets tired of the spotlight, really. I think obviously I'm in a platform now that brings spotlight to what I do. So I think it's navigating, where do you find greater joy in either being in front of the camera or behind it.
Okay.
Often I relate that to how your self-worth is and where you see yourself, you're needing the form of validation. And we've had multiple conversations about this.
Absolutely.
So, we find ourselves in an industry that promotes a lot of self. Social media is one of them. We have the selfie. We have everything that promotes self. But, often that is not about you in the essence, it's your client. So what I do in PR is about elevating someone else's brand, but using my skill set, my tools, and my passion for this career, which is a calling, and then obviously
Definitely.
amplify that to what the client's needs. So for me, it's, yeah, that's a technical and a nice way of
Perfect.
saying it. But I think ultimately it wasn't difficult for me because I could balance both. I'm an introverted, extroverted person. So with that being is that I'm not going to go out and want to be a face in the crowd that says, look at me.
Me.
I'm very much one-on-one. And when I connect with somebody, I open up and then you get to see all of me. Then I don't stop talking. But it's not about I need to scream it from the like sort of rooftops out loud that look at me and this is my life.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I am also aware that what I do is a unique career and it's a unique calling. So with the spotlight that is attracted to this, you're going to be attracting people that's going to think that this is just a fun career. You get to meet the right people. You get to, there's an assumption that you live in a glamorous life because you're at the red carpet parties, you're at all these events, you meet celebrities. Celebrities are your clients. So the association that comes with it, it's just fun and you're not working. This is just like a second hobby for you. Yeah.
And that's a lie.
Which is not the case, as
That
we
is,
know.
yeah,
Which
it's
is
not the case because I can do half of the things I do without Clayton, guys, to be very honest.
You give me too much credit,
Yeah,
but I'll take it.
I can't do it.
I'll take it.
So you work with celebrities, you work with different brands.
Yes.
How do you tailor make every approach to the? I mean, I came off the streets basically. I'm not Charlize Theron or Leslie Ann Brandt or anybody like that. How do you tailor make each one to bring the best out of your clients or to put the best foot forward? How do you package each client?
Well, I think in order for me to give the best of myself to anybody else, I have needed to understand who I am and what I want from this career and this passion and where I stand in it. And a lot of it is about understanding people. You're not managing necessarily the physical talent, you're managing personalities.
That's hard.
And it's it's a borderline sort of expectation of what psychologists and therapists and life coaches would need to sort of have that skill set. But it's understanding people. And once you get to understand people, you'd be able to understand what their needs are. That's ultimately what this is. And then you marry that with your network in the PR field and in the media sector and being able to use all the different skill sets to then amplify a brand, whether it's an individual talent, a personality, a celebrity, or an NGO, a corporate brand, or entrepreneurs. Yeah.
And that is very true because you even highlight the needs. And I can only speak of myself now, but I don't know the other kinds. But you highlighted a need that I didn't even know I had. Or you say, but no, this approach would work better, which I thought, no, that might not work. But it does. It ultimately does. So you really, did you go study like psychology? Is there like in your PR degree psychology or something?
No, I think it's life experience, right?
Yeah.
We all learn from different forms of life experience. And I think this is why I feel it was a calling and PR found me. It's because everything that I've ever been through, both personally and professionally, has shaped it as to how I approach this vocation. And it's based on the love for it and the sort of natural ability to glide and learn from trial and error pretty much. And everything that I've ever adopted is based on what I've taken from my inspiration. A lot of people that, I read a lot of sort of non-fiction books.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is autobiography. So I'm very inspired by personalities and their careers. So if there's a documentary about a celebrity's life or a book about their life, I always find the nuggets and learn from them to see like, how does this apply to me? And what is it that I can take away from this? I'm always intrigued by other people and the stars who don't share their stories much, but eventually at their ripe age of 60, 70, 80, they eventually have these books. But now I feel sometimes we should share that with the younger generation even earlier, because we all need that advice to see ourselves in someone else that's come before us.
Yeah, and also to maybe not even try and make the same mistakes.
100%.
Sometimes, we just, for lack of a better word. But how? Firstly, I want to know who. This is a question that people always ask me. Like, you have a PR company? I'm like, yeah. A whole PR company. They said, but why do you need it? Who needs a PR company? That's what I go, what does a PR company do for you? I said, everything that you see, I don't even know when a post goes out. Every engagement, that is a PR company. But who needs a PR company?
I guess if you either, seeing yourself as a product or as a business, or if you are a business or you have a product, then it's ultimately about amplifying the awareness of what it is that you're wanting to sell or get across.
Okay.
Or if it's a skill set. So, we'll use the example of what you do, obviously, being a chef, an author, motivational speaker, an events owner, an entrepreneur. If people don't know what it is that you're doing, you need to amplify it in a way that's just word of mouth. Because, that is tried and trusted in tradition. We all know it's good old school ways. And I'm very much an old school person by heart in my methods. But we have to move up with the times, which requires things like the use of social media. And everything needs to be strategically applied. It's not just, okay, I'm going to take a video and post it. You need to think of things like editing. You need to think of things like lighting, what time of day to post. It's a whole science that you have to keep up with what's trending and what works. And ultimately, what works for you as one brand may not work for someone else. So that's why it's good to understand what that individual or company's brand values are and what they are offering to the world. That will determine what the strategy looks like for PR.
Okay, so now the two behind the camera here.
Yes.
Right? The two behind the camera here said to me, like, okay, so you're doing this whole PR thing. So a painter, a guy that paints, how are they going to promote him? Is he not going to stand in his fail overalls and stuff like that? That is how they said it. So I said, well, anybody can be promoted, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Because it's a skill set, ultimately. You can become the greatest painter in the world then.
Yes.
You can become a Picasso, maybe, from painting walls.
So to go with what you mentioned earlier in the sense of how did I move from journalism to PR, I think what really makes me unique in my approach, and that doesn't mean to say I am the best or that I feel like, other people can give me compliments, but I do feel it's not just about being humble. You need to understand a person. So that's why I can remove the sense of self from understanding people's needs. When you use your journalism skills like I have, and you marry it with what the PR skill set looks like, that's how you can use the benefit of telling a story of the client. So because of that, I'm able to tell a story without making it brand heavy, because there's a difference between public relations and advertising. So that unique fine line is making your story relatable and your journey as an entrepreneur. So because how do people understand who you are if you're just going to be using advertising sort of lines? You're going to be saying, buy my product, buy that. But people cannot relate to who the person behind the product is.
And people just don't want to buy.
They want to know who you are. And
know?
Also, like, what makes you tick and what's your brand value and why should we invest in your product? Because we feel like we don't know you. So relatability is a factor, and that comes through sharing your journey, because people don't realize. People see products and it's like they don't realize what it took for you to get to this point. They don't realize maybe you had to take out, I don't know, a bond or you had to invest or give up and sacrifice, or that you didn't have a silver spoon in your mouth. But all they see is 20 years down the line, when you say I'm 20 years in business, they see the after effects of the 20 years of hard work. So they walk in on that chapter of your life just seeing the success, but not the times when you didn't have it all together. And that's why sharing your story, it's not only inspirational, it's aspirational.
And that is so true. I would always tell my staff, especially when I have new staff, and when I give them the chef jacket with my company's name on, it says Vibe Events and Catering, and I would say, when you put this jacket on, you're literally carrying the blood of my children. And they would look at me and I said, you know how much I sacrificed? I had 5 miscarriages building this business.
Yeah.
So if you're not prepared to give your utmost best here, then don't put it on, because it was heartache and tears that went into this, ultimately. So with all of this, there must be crises that happens. What has been your biggest crisis? Like, what was like, oh my gosh, because you need to keep it together. You're much like an event coordinator. You have to think about the ceiling's falling. Don't worry, everything's going to be okay,
Yeah.
What has been your biggest crisis that you had to manage?
It's not necessarily one specific, because there's plenty all the time. But what examples of that could look like is you send out invitations for media and personalities or invitees to attend, and then people don't rock up on time, or people just forget. And then while you're at the opening night dealing with the X amount of guests, people are scrambling, trying to get hold of you, and then you can't communicate, because if you're putting together an opening night, let's say, of a comedy show, which is sometimes what I really have been working on a lot in the past few months, and then they're trying to get hold of you while you're dealing with your invited guests that are just arriving. You're making sure that they're comfortable because they took the liberty of RSVPing or showing up on time. something as, I can remember there was one client, we could only move into an opening night venue 1 hour before the show started. So that has a knock-on delay and effect on everything else, like setting up the table for your RSVPs or the guests and making sure that they just fed wine in the meantime and snacks while the crisis is happening behind the scenes. Or even just things like, the sound and lighting doesn't work at all. And then you've got to figure out generators. Because during load shedding, when we had a lot of that, especially when it was fully enforced in the last couple of years, you need to get backup generators. And some venues didn't offer that when you hosted an event on the day. That's just like things that come to mind right now. But there's always some sort of crisis. And you've always got to have a plan B, C, D, and E available no matter what.
It's like the event industry. We always have to have all these million, but in all of this, in all your successes, in everything that you've achieved, I mean, I've experienced working with you, and I always say to you, this is God designed this moment, because before this moment, I wasn't ready to work with Clayton Morar, because he gives you a lot of work, people. He gives you a lot of work in all of this, in all the stresses, in all the successes, in every aspect. How do you stay grounded?
It's not easy. I don't have a perfect sort of linear way of figuring out that I've got it all together. In fact, most days I don't know what's going to happen. I think that's also a blessing. But what I take away from every day that I'm in this industry and also that I'm alive, it's perspective. I think perspective is something that really keeps me grounded, my faith in God, and also just having a great support system. A lot of what I have achieved has been I've been a first, especially, you don't get a lot of male PR folk. You also don't have a lot of, in this industry, as a result of it's predominantly associated with just women.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, you kind of have to come as an outsider in. Physically, I came out from Port Elizabeth. I moved.
You were an outsider, literally coming into
Cape Town. It was, it wasn't smooth sailing from the get-go. I had to prove myself in multitudes of ways. The networks, the industries, whether it was, colleagues or just finding the right people around me that, are friends or that I could rely on, saying, hey,
you can
trust. Trust is a big thing. But also, I think once you find your sweet spot in who you are, you will always draw the right people to your corner and into your circle. And I think it takes time, but I think I've had an unwavering amount of faith and just the ability to not give up, but the inability of lacking any form of sort of skill. I was like, okay, how do I get over it? How do I move forward? Who do I need to learn from? Where do I get the resource done? If I didn't possess it, I needed to outsource it and reel people into my sort of circle to help me improve and just adjust with the times. Yeah.
And you always, when you sit with me, I always feel like you got it together, man. You always you come across that way, and the way you make me realize my potential is truly a gift, and the way you tell me you set boundaries, and the self-worth part.
Yes.
That the spaces that you go in is designed for you. If it's designed for you, it's the right spaces. We see, I do listen.
I'm glad. It's taken a month, but we're there.
Only a month, guys, a month. But wow, this month has been a roller coaster of adventure for me.
Yes.
And even though you went away, there was only one day that I felt, I need you here right now. But yet you still said, no, but you can swim. You can do this, go on your own and you can do it. And the confidence that you have in me really made me feel that I can do anything. And that is not something you got from a degree.
No.
That's not something you got, that is from within,
Yes.
The heart that you have. So you've given me your biggest crisis, but your highlight, if you could say up to today in your career, what has been the highlight, the best moment that you say, wow, Clayton Morar Media has arrived, kind of thing?
I don't feel like I'm defined by one particular incident or like if I've achieved something on my bucket list, I'm like, okay, now I've arrived. I still feel I'm always going to learn and elevate with my goals. So it's always about being goal orientated. So I love being driven. But from a journalist perspective, which is very important to note, which led me to PR, is that I've always wanted to meet three specific people in my life that I wanted to interview. And I managed to do 2 out of 3, where I met 2 and I interviewed 1 out of the 2. I interviewed and met Oprah, and I met Mariah. And the third person is Beyonce. So out of the 3, I'm still yet to meet Beyonce. So that was a turning point when I'd met Oprah. I realized this was where I kind of peaked in my journalism career. What's next? That also was a big factor why I moved into the PR sort of space. From a PR perspective, some major highlights was working with Woolworths back when I just started out in 2013. I worked on with a number of campaigns with them for like Candice Swanepoel and Bonang Mateba.
Wow.
And that was really a great way to get an eyesight into the corporate side of retail corporate PR and working with, you know, the men's fashion wear and the women's fashion wear, and just some of their sort of events, getting celebrities to attend their summer showcases. So that's a big highlight back in the day. Recent years, being able to tour with, you know, my clients and going to like all the different spaces other than just Cape Town. One of my favorite clients has been based in LA, and she's a personal friend of mine, and that is Leslie Ann Brandt. We've known each other since 2009, and I've been able to get an insight into Hollywood and how PR operates there, which is a very different, more fast-paced world. But yeah, and then, you know, from the last recent years, especially post-COVID, I've been able to work with more foundations, which has really been fulfilling for me to be able to see that impact in the community. It's been a number of them. It's been the Real Reform for ECD that focuses on the ECD matters in South Africa. The Do More Foundation, which is also a byproduct of the ECD space. And then just this year, I started working with ETA College. And that's been a great way to sort of get into the sports and fitness side of things. It's a very different way of getting people who don't know how to celebrate their fitness and health, but also marry that with academia and stand out stories from the college. So that's been really fulfilling as well. Yeah.
Okay, so I am still starstruck here by Oprah. And then we went to Leslie Ann Brandt because I've watched Lucifer a million times, the entire series. So yeah, you know, it's just nice to see. And I just love the way she stays authentically her.
100%. Yeah.
I love that
100%.
about her.
And she's always passionate about what she does, and she loves South Africa. She's always proudly South African.
And very intentional.
Yes.
And that leads me to my next question. You know, you built the reputation of championing so many South Africans. You know, and I feel like I can fall into that category because yes,
you are. You don't have to. You are. We are here, Jill. Yeah. Come on now. We are here.
And your personal brand is very polished. Is that something? Is that very intentional of you to have this? Well, it's actually 2-part questions. Let me first ask, your personal brand is very polished. Is that an intentional way of you putting yourself in the world, or is it just the PR brain that's PRing here in the head?
It's a very good question. It's a bit of both. Intentional as in, if you don't communicate with people who you are, people will never show up to meet you where you're at.
That's very true. That's another lesson I just learned from Clayton Morar Media.
So it's not just about, I'm going to put my lunch out and I'm at this restaurant. That's where the social media world and culture has enveloped our brains as to, okay, we need to give off a certain aesthetic. When it comes from that perspective, I'm not intentional about that because I'm not doing it for external validation. And I'm very, very sort of hell-bent on maintaining that. It's all about for me. But if you're going to lead a life that is big and fulfilled, you need to sort of share it and document it, I feel. And I do it in a way that is strategic for me because I have a private profile on social media. For the simple reason that I'm not an influencer. I'm here to run a business. I'm not here to influence things. There's a difference for me. Yeah, so I do that where my profiles are private from a Clayton Morar perspective, but Clayton Morar Media, 100%, you can follow what I do and the work that we do as a company. But you need to sort of navigate what it is that you want, and that will determine how you come across for a personal brand. And for me, like anybody else, there's also been a lot of heartache and a lot of challenges on the personal side that you cannot also open that up to just the whole world to see it, especially if I don't know you. My rule of thumb is if I've at least met you, engage with you, and I feel that we can click, then you can have access to my personal life.
Absolutely.
Because not every person you meet with is going to be a friend. Some relationships are just meant to be kept in the business format. So that's why, from that perspective, it is intentional, yes.
So that is very true that you say not everybody in this world is your friend.
Yes.
And I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
And then the other question is that you build these reputations, like I said, I'm including that reputation of championing so many South Africans. Why is that mission so important to you?
Because you have to know what your calling is. And I questioned my sort of state of where I belong in this entertainment industry. And one of my dearest friends is my pastor in my PE church, told me in 2018 when I was like, I don't know, I was like at this cusp of, do I leave entertainment? It's, it's feeling a bit toxic. I don't like the state of, certain things that's going on. And he said, well, God's kids are called everywhere. And as a result, there's not many people that's advocating for that in your industry that you know of in what you do. So they could be, but you're not aware of them. So why don't you be the example and let your light shine? Then things will fall into place. And that gave me a bit of peace, because then I realized I must stop questioning, am I meant to be here? And that I am enough. And that the fact that I'm here, still alive, still breathing, means that worthiness is a part of my fiber. I don't need to seek it elsewhere. Yeah.
And there's one song or hymn that came now when you say that. I don't know if you're feeling what I'm gonna say now, or what I'm gonna say.
Tell me. My brain's working overtime in many places.
Shine, Jesus, shine.
Oh, shine, yeah.
Because
Yes,
you're having
100%.
that light shine through you, and that is so amazing. I can't express enough, and this is not to put you to elevate you. I was out of the space for a while. I just felt like everything that I was doing not like it didn't matter. I knew that what I need to say matters. I just didn't know how to package it. And working with you was something that my brain had to switch, and like all of a sudden I need to work so much harder at things. I get homework and I get stuff, but yeah, that was the one thing. So I think we need to kind of like wrap these things up on a high note, but looking forward, with social media and all these things that's happening in life, everything that's happening, what do you think the PR world is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years?
Definitely, it's in the way that the digital sort of era is going. We're going to have more people, having online magazines, websites, podcasts. Yeah. It's, if you haven't embraced the sort of digital trend, I suggest you get on that saddle right now and buckle up.
Yeah,
it's going to go very fast
and very quickly. So you need Clayton Morar Media, guys.
And to go check out Joel's platforms and go streaming, because streaming and all of that is part of the future. And it's a different and a sort of incentivized way to get your brand in a much quicker way out, other than just the traditional way of reading it in newspapers and magazines.
Absolutely.
And only relying on radio.
And paper kind of like you use it eventually for something else, and it kind of disappears. It becomes forgotten. But to wrap, there's 2 questions before we wrap up.
Okay.
What would you tell your younger self?
Oh, as you say that, my stomach is churning. It's like, that means there's been no food eaten for the day. It's a wonderful question.
See, I was trained well.
Yes. And that's a very, very good question. I would say that your dreams are valid, and that no matter what, you're going to get to reach the goals that you've set out, but stay on course. Because if you sort of, veer off it, you're going to lose your perspective. And that has happened. If I look back over the years, like the dreams were there, but taken in by what does this person say, or not feeling seen or heard, or you doubt yourself. Yeah. And if I look back in the trajectory of my 41 years, the 5-year-old version of myself would have appreciated that no matter what, you're going to reach all your dreams, and you're going to be setting trends while doing it.
Yeah. Amen to that. And lastly, before we wrap this up, if Clayton Morar could change one thing in this world, what would it be and why?
Ooh, I think we need this is where I say stop because we don't want to get cancelled. For what I
don't let
really
other
want to
people-
say.
Yeah.
Let's do the PR answer, shall we?
Yes, to the PR.
I think it's just more of a personal motto
Yeah.
more than anything else. I just think, believe more in yourself and stop seeking validation. Like that's just ultimately the root of everything because it will determine how you show up for yourself, how you show up in the space with others, and how you also view others' value in your life. And particularly from a PR perspective, because while that's all great in a more psychological sense, you are your brand. So in the PR space, if you don't value and trust yourself and respect your worth, you're going to teach others to treat you accordingly.
Yeah.
And we in a world of digital media, and it goes with the social media aspect. If you are literally just looking for that validation just because you're not getting it anywhere else, and you're just wanting, and you're addicted to likes, you're gonna see a crash come at some point in your life. And when the social media is removed from this world, like where what happened during load shedding,
Yeah.
people can't get access to their phone, or you're so dependent on your phone, you then lose a great sense of who you are as a person. So I think if I could just change one thing is believe that you are worthy enough because you are born and because you are here, and that's an Oprah quote. Worthiness is your birthright. And if you embody that, you don't need validation from anything else because when you walk into the rooms and you walk into the boardrooms and you're ready to negotiate, you are meant to have that seat at the table. It's how you use the opportunity to make your brand known and make your worthiness known in that setting. Yeah.
On that note, everybody, do you understand why Jill van As has Clayton Morar Media? Because he teaches not only how to project yourself in this digital world or to create your brand, but he also teaches your self-worth and that instant gratification is not needed. You are who you are because you deserve to be here. So that was another episode of On the Couch with Jill and Clayton. Thank you for being on the couch with me, but thank you for everything you have done. And thank you for everything that you're going to be doing.
You're more than welcome.
I truly appreciate, and above all, I value you as a friend. So even if our working relationship has to dissolve in some other way, but I still would love to have you as a friend because your heart is always in the right space. So thank you once again.
Well, I thank you as well. So here's what I'm going to say. The energy you experience here is just your heart reflecting back onto you.
And on that note, it's another episode of On the Couch with Jill. And all I got left to say is be kind because the world surely, surely needs kindness. Till next time, goodbye.